How's it going? Welcome inside here at the Tier 4 studio in Morgantown, West Virginia, a Sunday night for you. Just a quick little bit of information about West Virginia's bowl game. Just announced this evening. Going to the Cotton Bowl, but not to play in the Cotton Bowl. The actual game is the Heart of Dallas Bowl, in the heart of Dallas, in the Cotton Bowl. So, historic stadium, not historic foe. The Utah Utes from the Pacific 12 Conference. Probably not what you were expecting. If you've been following me, well, that was probably dangerous. But um, my reporting, my conversations with people had suggested West Virginia be a very popular team for the Liberty Bowl. There are some matchups there that could be generated. Kentucky, Missouri, border war, offensive matchup, things like that if you get Kentucky or Missouri. Didn't happen that way. Thought maybe the Cactus Bowl against a certain former coach who's plying his craft in the Pac-12. That didn't happen. It really came apart, probably on one play in particular against Texas in the penultimate game of the regular season. Here's what happened to West Virginia: 7-3 team ends up 7-5, and really without Will Grier and with the two losses to end the season, West Virginia became just a bowl eligible team. That's kind of a mean thing to say. Fact is, it's the truth. If you didn't believe that before, maybe you do now. They were the eighth team basically assigned in the bowl order. Order of finish, who you beat, doesn't really matter in the bowl standings. The only place that really matters for the bowl in the conference is who wins. The champion goes to the playoffs. Sometimes a second team will get into the New Year's Six Bowl. So what really hurt West Virginia was the fact that TCU did not get one of the New Year's Six games. That means the 8 bowl eligible teams for the 7 slots. Somebody was going to get bounced somewhere else. That was Texas Tech. But certainly when TCU doesn't get into that New Year's Six, you're going with 7 bowl eligible teams for just 6 remaining spots. So someone has to move, but the bigger part of that is that a team like West Virginia, Kansas State, Iowa State, they get bumped down even further than normal. So how does West Virginia, 7-5, with wins against fellow 7-5 teams, Iowa State and Kansas State, end up 8th? Well, the weird part about it is, again, the standings don't matter, and the Texas Bowl is just about always going to take a team from Texas, and it had the Texas Longhorns at its disposal. Um, Iowa State has a huge fan base. They're going to travel, and they're going to fill up the Liberty Bowl. I have no doubt about that. And Kansas State has never been out to the Cactus Bowl. I think it's a tough ask to have West Virginia fans go out to the Cactus Bowl, play a 7 p.m. game the night after Christmas. That's a Tuesday. When they were just there 2 years ago. It's not new. It hurts the appeal for the game and for the teams. And just my early inclination now is that this is probably the coldest reception to a bowl game that I can remember for West Virginia. Just talking to people in the school, people around the team, and to some of you. This doesn't really move the needle because it's 1:30. It's a Tuesday game against a team that you never really see very much. It's tough. West Virginia, quite frankly, is going to have a hard time selling tickets to this one just because of things that really can't control. But how'd they end up there? Again, they just became the other team. They became a team that can fill a slot, which is what happened here. You could have seen them be the other team in a game that facilitated the opponent from another conference, where, for example, if you had an SEC team like Kentucky in the Liberty Bowl, or if you had a team that just had a pretty strong reputation or a pretty firm geographical bond to a game, well, they have to play somebody. You throw West Virginia in there. What it turned out to be was West Virginia was just a bowl eligible team. Had to fill a slot and put them there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I can tell you quite a bit about Utah, though. Cover college football. If you're in hotels or getting home and you're juiced and you can't go to sleep, but you kind of want to watch football a little bit more during the day, you find Utah's on TV quite a bit. Utah's a pretty good program, well coached by Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham is 10-1 in bowl games, which is impressive because it's a great win-loss record. But also, his team is always very good, very disciplined, very detailed, and frankly, does better than maybe it should. It's a tough spot being in Utah. The team relies on transfers, junior college players, and really, sounds funny, but that old Polynesian pipeline. You get a lot of people who are from Hawaii or from parts of the Northwest and need a place to play. You get overlooked a lot of times when people can't find you in the recruiting circuit, and Kyle Whittingham, his staff has always been very good about finding those players, especially linebackers and defensive linemen and offensive linemen. And they have a few of those this year. So watching them, you'll tell they're grown men. They've lost a lot of players to the draft. This isn't their best team, certainly. They're 500, 6-6. They're 3-6 in the Pac-12 this year. But 0-4 against ranked teams and lost those games by a combined 15 points. Not one game decided by more than one score. Not a terrible 6-6 team. Made a quarterback change this year. Started the season with one guy, used another. But they have talent. They have a really good running back. Zach Moss is a 1,000-yard guy. Tough physical behind his pads. And they have a pretty skilled receiver named Robert Carrington. If you remember, you may remember that name. He was at he was at Oregon for a while. This is his first year at Utah. Really skilled player. Would have been a 1,000-yard player, but he missed a game. Had some NFL performances early in the season. He's a good player outside. They like to use him. They do some spread stuff. You can watch him. It's not an NFL offense. It's pretty much the norm for a spread offense. You'll see the quarterback run. You'll see a lot of read stuff. They throw bubbles. They throw a quick game. It's as good as their trigger man is on offense, though. They've had some inconsistencies this year. Their quarterback, Huntley, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in 9 games. But he can spin it. He can run it. You have a 1,000-yard back. You have a guy who should have been a 1,000-yard receiver. It's a pretty good opponent. And again, they're tough. They're just a tough, mean, physical team, and you'll see that on defense. There's a 4-3. They always have good defensive linemen. They always have good linebackers. Their corners and safeties are pretty good this year. They had one of the top junior college transfers in the country from Blaine College, whose name, for the life of me, I cannot remember right now. But he's their leading interception guy. He plays from the top down on defense. He helps in the run. He helps against the pass. He's good. And they're good on special teams. They have one of the best place kickers in the country, 27 for 31 on field goals this year. They have a 42, 44-yard punt guy. Not explosive in the kickoff return game. I think, for 12 games, they only had, I believe, 20 kickoff returns, which is unusual, but they have a 10-yard a shot punt return guy. And again, they have some guys who are skilled on offense. Young team on offense, a lot of turnover on offensive defenses because they've been good in the past, and sometimes you lose good players to the next level. That is the thumbnail sketch. We will get to know more about Utah as we get closer to the bowl game. The Cotton Bowl is the host of the Heart of Dallas Bowl. And again, second matchup between West Virginia and Utah. The first, 1964, the Liberty Bowl, the first indoor bowl game. This is West Virginia's second game inside the Cotton Bowl. The first was SMU in 1975. West Virginia ran for 400 yards in that game, by the way. Won that one 28-22. So maybe the second time will be as good to the Mountaineers as the first time. Only time will tell. One question here, by the way. Justin Brown expecting Greer to play. I have no idea. I've not heard that he will. It's a really quick turnaround. If he had surgery on, what did we say, 2 Sundays ago? So 2 weeks ago he had surgery, right? Now you're looking at 4 weeks from now is the game, not even 4 weeks. So let's say he's 5 weeks from surgery to game. They're saying 4 to 6. At best, he's going to get 3 practices in. I'd be very surprised if he plays. And maybe beyond that, very surprised if he plays well because rust. It's tough, man. If you can't move your finger, if you can't spin the ball, you can't practice. It's really hard to play at this level if you can't practice. So we'll find out in due time. I'm sure that's one of the first questions that Dana Holgorsen will be asked. And that's my bridge to what's coming up here. Bowl teleconference, 8 o'clock tonight. So check us out, earsports.com. See what our updates are this evening. Until then, I am Mike Casazza. I thank you for stopping by.